הפודקאסט בחסות דאטה מדיה, המלווה ומייעצת לחברות בארץ ובחול בנושא אימייל מרקטינג, עבירות אימיילים ובחירה והטמעה של מערכות דיוור.
CRM.buzz, בלוג ופודקאסט בנושא אימייל מרקטינג, עבירות אימיילים ושיווק. מגיש סלע יופה.
שלום לכם, אתם על CRM.buzz, פרק מספר 239. והפעם, הפרק הכי מואזן בפודקאסט ever הוא ראיון עם ג'קוב אולקסה, מנכ"ל ומייסד מיילקיט ו-Omnivery. מיילקיט היא מערכת דיוור באמת משוכללת ומתוחכמת, בדגש על deliverability, ו-Omnivery הוא שרת SMTP, בדיוק עם אותם הדגשים. ג'קוב אולקסה הוא מומחה גדול בנושא אימייל אוטנטיקיישן, את רוב מה שאני יודע על התחום למדתי ממנו. זה רעיון בעיניי מרתק ומעניין לכל מי שעוסק באימייל מרקטינג. במסגרת הפודקאסט החדש שלי באנגלית, emailgeeks.show, אני עורך מחדש את הפרקים ששודרו כאן ב-CRM.buzz בעריכה מחודשת באנגלית. אז הנה הפרק עם ג'קוב אולקסה, כפי שנערך מחדש לאנגלית בלבד, עבור emailgeeks.show. תוכלו להזין לפרק בעברית, כפרק מספר 161, כאן ב-CRM.buzz. האזנה נעימה.
Deliverability is all about reputation. And it's not only about the brand reputation, the sender's reputation and the content, but it's also very much about the reputation of the IP space, the reputation of the ESP, and that reputation of the ESP translates into how can the ESP help the customer when they have issues.
Hello and welcome to episode number 4 of emailgeeks.show, the podcast where once a month the leading email experts share their knowledge about email marketing, email deliverability, and marketing. My name is Sela Yofe and I'm an email deliverability consultant working with global email senders, startups and email platforms on their email deliverability, email authentication and strategy, and I'm the host of this podcast. My guest today is Jakub Olexa, the founder and the CEO of the marketing automation Mailkit and the SMTP server Omnivery. In a moment, we will discuss why they are so unique. Good morning, Jakub. It's great to have you on the show.
Hey, Sela. Glad to be here.
Almost everything I know about email authentication, I learned from Jakub Olexa, and I'm sure it's gonna be an interesting show, so stick around. In the email industry, it's common for people to say they accidentally ended up working with email. Did you also fall into it?
I started on the other side, on the receiving side, 20 plus years ago, when we operated a social network in Czech Republic with my colleagues. Back then, social networks were quite different than today. So it was essentially a chat, a news portal, dating service, and all of this together. But today it would qualify as a social network because back then, the online chat was the thing. Today everybody's, one-to-one, but back then people communicated with each other, and internet was pretty new, so people were really exploring the possibilities of finding new people and meeting new people. So it was quite interesting, and we after a while we decided that we want to add a free mail service as well to our clients. And back then we had 500,000 registered customers, so essentially everyone who had a dial-up had an account with us. And so we operated a free mail service. And, time went on. The business has changed. We have sold off the social network, and we were looking for something new to do. A friend of mine back then from US, he had an investment company and acquired a PR agency, and they wanted to cut costs, of course, as investors.
Okay.
So we were talking over ICQ, again, a throwback. And he asked me if I could find him some tool that would automate all the email sending and publishing PR articles to the website and sending faxes and all of this that the PR agency was doing, because they had like a staff of 100 people just, sending faxes, emails, updating the websites, etc. So I figured there must be something. So I looked around for, some open source solutions that can be customized for their needs. And I haven't found anything that would really automate stuff. Back then there was Cheetah Mail, which was insanely expensive. And so I told him, so there's this one option where we can build a platform for your needs, and we would keep it, and you would have to be a customer of ours for a year. So we built Mailkit in about 3 months. It was all about automation, sending out emails, sending out faxes, pulling in data from remote data sources. So they could essentially go in, enter the information into their system, and then we would fetch the information and send out the emails and faxes to the right distribution list. So it gave us a huge advantage over the coming years that we've built it with all this automation and data processing from the very beginning, rather than adding it over time as automation became a thing.
So the time went by, and I'm curious to know more about Mailkit and what makes it so unique these days.
So Mailkit is your email marketing platform, or not only email, because we do SMS as well, and push channels. It is a true marketing automation where we have very strong data processing. So if you have data, you can build anything out of that data, and use our templating engine to create truly dynamic content in terms of per recipient customization. So it's not just, merge tags where you have, if there's this, just replace it with something else. It's really, if you need to pull in data from a SQL database while generating the email, or an external JSON, whatever, you want to include weather, just do a query to a JSON with the weather information matching the recipient, and you have it in your email. So it's really data-oriented.
The term blast in the email industry was associated with spamming. Despite the availability of highly personalized email creation, why do marketeers continue to use email blasts?
There are legitimate as well as illegitimate reasons. The most common reason is that the companies don't have the resources. Of course, that's not true if you use a platform that allows you to set it up once and create the templates properly to do this automation. You don't need extra resources. But the other aspect is that often marketers sell the email space, the product placement, to their partners. So let's say you have an Amazon store with computer products. You will likely sell some positions to AMD or HP, etc., and they pay you for promoting their products to your customers, but they're not paying you by success. They're paying you by email sent.
Yeah.
And that pushes the marketers to do the bad practice, to send it to everyone, to have as big audience as they can get. So this partner pays for their mailing.
There are so many email platforms out there. When comparing different email platforms, are there significant differences between platforms?
Oh, yes, of course. The basic difference comes from the business model. So if you look at services like Mailchimp, their business model is, we want a super simple tool that, the one-man show company with 500 customers can easily use. And they have free services, it's self-service, simple sign-in. It's catered to a kind of startup audience or customers who don't really have much experience with email marketing.
Yeah.
And that, of course, means that their feature set is completely different. They're building the application to be as easy to use as possible. And then you have platforms that are more professional, that are trying to combine the enterprise world where we sit in, and the Mailchimp world, adding the features from the enterprise while trying to keep it as user-friendly as possible. And then there's companies like ourselves where we don't have any signups. You got to have a contract. You have to pass through our vetting. And if you pass our vetting, then we will be willing to sign a contract with you. But if you just need a platform that, is superb, but you want to send out stuff that doesn't meet our standards, then we will not sign a contract with you. And it doesn't matter what industry you're from.
Yeah.
We have turned down customers. We have terminated customers from industries like finance, simply because they were not doing email marketing as they should.
Many platforms only perform a simple vetting process, such as requesting to see your opt-in forms, or they might let you send only 500 records on your first campaign. Many email platforms don't do vetting at all.
Yes, I agree that it's very rare. But for us,
that's your sweet spot, so to speak.
Yes, but at the same time, deliverability is all about reputation. And it's not only about the brand reputation, the sender's reputation and the content, but it's also very much about the reputation of the IP space, the reputation of the ESP, and that reputation of the ESP translates into how can the ESP help the customer when they have issues, right? So if you're on a less reputable space, let's say Amazon, where anyone can go set up their account and start sending, obviously your deliverability will be impacted by others on that network. And your path to resolve those deliverability issues will be complicated by the fact that you're within a certain IP space and certain network with certain reputation. And our customers don't have to deal with that because they know that we vet every customer, that we do check the content of the campaigns they're about to send, that we keep a very, very short leash on them in terms of the content, and that we have our own IP space, that we have our own autonomous system. So our network is our network. It's not part of someone else's network. And in addition to that, they know that they're not submitting their data into some global cloud where somebody will be able to potentially access their data, but where they will have to deal with a lot of privacy-related issues. We often get asked when we're doing the contracts, like, where's your list of subprocessors? And our answer is there's none. We don't pass your data to anyone. We have our own infrastructure. It's all our hardware. Everything is ours. Unless you sign a special contract with us as a controller, instructing us to pass the data to a third party, we will not do that. So, for example, if you want to enable the integration with Google BigQuery, as many customers do, because they just want to push their data to BigQuery where they do another analysis, they have to sign a specific contract for that. If they want recommendations, okay, we will pass the data to the recommendation engine, but there must be a specific contract for that.
A lot of email marketeers lack sophistication in their email programs. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that goes back to where MailChimp is and tools like MailChimp. MailChimp is great for beginners. And if we have a lead that, is asking us to, that they would want to use Mailkit because of the references, etc., that they want great deliverability, and then they tell us they send 100,000 emails per month, and they send 4 newsletters a month. Every Monday they do the send, or every Thursday, whatever, to their whole list, and they want to send with us. And our response is usually, are you sure that you're ready for a platform like this? You should probably go to MailChimp because of your size, simply because of your size and because of what you do. That's not really email marketing. From my perspective, that's email blasting. That's not really marketing. Right? I'm not saying that we don't have customers who are even smaller. They send a couple thousand messages per month, but those are highly personalized, right? They are, instead of volume, and we're motivating our customers not to rely on volume, but rely on quality content instead.
What can email platforms do to safeguard abusers and bad actors from abusing their systems?
So, how do you protect yourself? For us, it's vetting. For us, it's the tools that we have in the system that prevent our customers, because not all of them are great marketers, of course, right? Some of them make mistakes. Some of them will try to embed an image into an email from a CDN that is banned and blacklisted. So they do a lot of stuff that would impact their deliverability and their success. So we have tools in the system that check for all these, whether it's a big mistake or a small mistake. We check for that and show them the spam scoring. And if they exceed a certain threshold, we won't let them send the message. We need them to fix it before they send it out. right? And then we have manual approvals. So if the system decides that there is something out of the ordinary about the campaign, it has to go through a manual approval process where our support will take the human eye and look at it and see, okay, what is it that has changed? Did they upload a new list, which is somewhat questionable, or the system perceives it as, something that needs attention, or the spam scoring is not really bad. It's still below our threshold, but combined with the fact that it's a new list or anything, or that there was a long gap between sends, etc., they changed the frequency of their sends. All of these things are evaluated by our system, and then the human will look at it and see, okay, I can approve this, or I will reject it, get in touch with the customer, tell him, look, this is the problem, this is what you need to fix. It could be stuff like, very often we have customers who send in many, many different languages to different countries. And, as they're preparing their initial templates, they do a lot of work on those templates, but they forget stuff like they keep the footer in one language, right? And suddenly they want to, all of the email is in Hungarian or German, but the footer remains Polish or Czech or English. So this is where we detect this, and our team will reject the message, let the customer know that they made this type of a mistake, that it needs to be fixed, and then they can just reschedule the campaign to be sent an hour later, right? Once they have it fixed.
It appears that you are acting like an agency in that situation.
Yes and no. We're not an agency, so we're not telling our customers what to do and how to do it and how should it look, etc. We've decided that we don't want to be this type of a company. We don't want to be the ones that are telling our customers what to do and at the same time charge them for doing it, because in the end, like, our motivation would be to tell them, well, send more, or you shouldn't do such a segmentation, you should do this, you should add more campaigns, do stuff that would we would be incentivized to do that if we were consulting them on their email marketing strategy. So we stay on the technical side, and our support will help them with technical aspects and the human aspect of email marketing, and they can consult to the extent, like, my opinion is that you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. We do not recommend doing this. We recommend doing that. But we're definitely not gonna tell our customers how to do email strategy, anything that is related to how the email looks, etc.
The world is shifting more and more towards domain reputation. Sometimes you can see Google Workspace IP with a very low reputation, let's say a score of 34, but still inboxing. So why it is so important to protect the email platform?
Oh, of course. But that's a different story. That's too big to block, right? Yeah. But again, even though the world is shifting towards domain reputation, you have to keep in mind that domain reputation comes after the IP checks and IP reputation and IP space reputation, because that is simply much easier and less effort to block. if I know that, this IP is questionable, then I will block this IP and I don't have to worry about domain reputation, content scanning, etc. Even though there is a big shift towards domain reputation, it of course shifts a lot of weight towards the sending domain. But that doesn't mean that the underlying IP space is not affected. If I let a bad customer onto our network, they start sending crap. Even if I put them on a dedicated IP,
they will hurt your space.
That bad reputation from that bad IP will trickle down to other IPs, but it will affect Mailkit's reputation as a network. So when I have a false positive somewhere and I reach out to Spam House, Siren, whoever, with, hey guys, I believe this is a false positive, need help, we need mitigation with this, they will be like, hell no. We're seeing all this stuff coming from your network, so we are happy to help, but you have to do your job. You have to get rid of the bad senders. And the fact that the reputation will be on that specific domain will not have an impact. Right? So I want to have a clean network, and I want to have a good reputation as an ESP. So when I reach out with an issue, and false positives happen, and they happen all the time, right? I need to be able to reach out to the providers and be able to resolve the issue. And to me, it's not a question of whether it affects 30% of the traffic or 0.3% of the traffic, because the money is in the long tail. It's not only in the large mailbox providers, but a lot of very small ISPs have a lot of users that are generating big bucks for the brands.
An email platform can be compared to a car. You can easily see the user interface, the shape, and the color, but the important components are hidden under the hood. What do you think about this analogy?
Well, it's difficult. I don't think it's like a car. I think it's more like a plane, or you should think about it like a plane, because when you're buying a car, you care about the superficial, and maybe you care a little bit about what's under the hood, what type of engine you have, does it have enough horsepower, etc. But usually you buy a car for 3 years, right? Changing an ESP every 3 years is not really the best idea, right? So you shouldn't be looking at it like, this is what I need now. Right now, I need to send emails. But what is it that I will need in 2 years, 3 years? And our customers, our lead time is like 9 to 12 months before we sign a customer. Wow. And then it's another 6 to 12 months for them to properly integrate. When somebody calls, like, we have a deliverability issue, we're sending 100 million emails per month, and we're a great customer, we just need to change the ESP right away. We're like, no, because that's not how it works. It just cannot be done. You cannot do it that you need to send tomorrow. That's like a big factor in our vetting. Like, if somebody's pushing for, we need to do it right now. If you do it right now, then you're cutting corners, and you need to blast emails. That tells me you don't have much of an email strategy, because if you want to start sending next week, you're not going to set up the data integration to pull the information correctly, the webhooks, so your backend receives the information from us about bounces and complaints, etc. So you're rushing things. Why are you rushing things? This is not something that happens from day to day, right? So it's more like a plane. You really need to have a long-term strategy. You're going to fly that plane for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So you have to know how that fits into your strategy long-term. And the black box solutions where you don't really know what it does, but it's, flashy terms. We have 1,600% ROI, and 9 out of 10 of our customers have become billionaires. Like, all of these flashy sales pitches are really nice if you're selling a black box to a customer who does not really care about their email marketing, right? Because they need a tool that will send, right? But if you have marketing strategy, and if you have people that are looking into the results, into actual results of your email campaigns, how efficient it is, then those people will be looking at a long tail. They will be looking into not whether your flashy charts are showing 30% open rate, but whether those 30% that you claim actually translate into conversions, right? Because it's easy to show 30% open rates, especially now with Apple MPP. If it opens up 30% of emails, you have 30% open rate. Like, is that relevant number? No, it's not.
What would be your recommendation for marketeers?
It is really the open rate, what you want. If I was a marketer, I don't care about the open rate. I care about the sales, or, whatever is my conversion. Open is not my conversion. It might be for a magazine, right? But still, that magazine needs to have some CTAs in their emails to get the people somewhere. So open rates are really a tricky number. It's like when everybody's claiming 99.9 or 99.9 deliverability instead of delivery rate, because it's very easy to
they're not the same.
Have just 0.1% of bounces if you clean the list properly, or if you discard bounces, right? And don't count them in.
Yeah.
That's very simple. But deliverability is, the inbox placement, or, placement in mailboxes that are visible to the user. So inbox or promotions. And that's impossible to measure, right? Unless you have the data from the mailbox provider, you cannot measure that. And as far as I know, there are two mailbox providers that provide this data through their Postmaster APIs. There's one provider that provides it through a partner at a significant cost. So how do you measure deliverability? You can always say that it's 99.9.
What's your recommendation for marketeers who are struggling to measure their engagement with Apple MPP, Apple Mail Privacy Protection?
There are few verticals that will have to adopt. And I think that they should have adopted a long time ago, right? Because using email purely as means of, delivering a leaflet instead of using snail mail and dropping the printed paper into your mailbox. They use email. I don't think that's long-term viable, and in the end, it leads to blasting, nothing else. So these publishers will have they had a problem already, right? But that's a very, very small part of the email industry and email business. And I believe in using proper tools to measure engagement. And open rate is just a very small part of your engagement, right? In Mailkit, we have something that we call engagement score. And it calculates the engagement of individual recipients in long term, right? And there are so many factors. There's the open, there's repeated open, there's clicks, repeated clicks, there's prints, there's forwards, there's website actions, conversions. All of this adds up. There's like 140 properties that we use to calculate the engagement score. It gets recalculated every 15 minutes from the new data.
Amazing.
Then once a day, it gets recalculated to update the user's overall engagement score, which we present as a number from 0 to 5, 5 being the highest, 0 being the lowest, plus a trend, increasing, neutral, and decreasing. But in the background, it's not a 0 to 5. It's, I believe, -3 to +21 with 3 decimals. So it's very granular, and it tracks the behavior of the recipient over time, but it also tracks the behavior of the sender. So if you're sending once per month, the engagement of the user, of the recipient, has different values than if you were sending 3 times per day. Because if you get your recipients to react to your emails that you send every day or 3 times a day, and you produce 30% open rates and click rates, etc., then you're a superstar. Like, those are super engaged
Good
people,
for you,
right? If you send once a month and you get the same results, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're super engaged, right? They're not annoyed yet. So there's the difference. And when MPP started, we monitored it for a week to see whether, what's the impact and how does it impact the scoring and everything. And we figured out, we found out that it doesn't really have any impact on the scores, because from our system perspective, it's a bot. And we have been detecting bot clicks and bot opens, so-called non-human interactions, for the past 5 years. So this is there's the difference. And when MPP started, we monitored it for a week to see whether what's the impact and how does it impact the scoring and everything. We found out that it doesn't really have any impact on the scores, because from our system perspective, it's a bot. We have been detecting bot clicks and bot opens, so-called non-human interactions. So this is just another non-human interaction that we discard, right? And you might say, well, you discarded my opens, but I haven't discarded the engagement of the user, because the engagement is the click, is the conversion, is the repeated open, etc. that's something where we get the additional signals that are of a higher value for the engagement, and therefore the MPP didn't have the effect that we were, worried about, that it might affect the engagement scoring. But the same thing can be said about the standard non-human interactions. It's just that many systems don't detect those.
Yeah.
Right? MPP is super easy to detect, right? Yahoo's bots are super easy to detect. But then you have all the anti-spam and anti-phishing systems that are scanning your emails, and they're following the links and generating fake opens, fake clicks, fake everything, and use various user agent strings and come from different IPs, etc. So you've always had this error in your statistics. You just didn't know. So of course, it's from the ESP perspective, it looks very nice if you're showing higher numbers because you're not discarding these non-human interactions. But sooner or later, that customer, unless they're ignoring their business, they will find out that these numbers don't translate into the conversions they were expecting from these opens or these clicks.
In addition to Mailkit, you also developed another ESP called Omnivery. Can you tell us about Omnivery?
Omnivery, yes.
Yeah.
We've always had customers coming to us asking for a transactional sending platform or SMTP sending, just because it was easier for them to integrate, or they had specific tools, specific, user experience platforms, etc., that they wanted to integrate with. And Mailkit is not really good for that because it's a platform on itself, and using those APIs didn't really make sense. So, eventually I decided, okay, we'll do that. We'll build a transactional sending platform, but we want to keep the same values that we have in Mailkit. So customer vetting, keeping a close eye on the customers, and being focused on deliverability of the platform. So again, I don't want a customer coming to us asking, why did the email bounce? I want us to tell the customer, hey, this email bounced because of this and that, and we are looking into it, right? Or we are seeing that your reputation is being affected by your last send. You need to look into this and that. So we built Omnivery with this in mind, and we have various levels of vetting in the platform. And at the same time, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So to make the integration really easy, we have APIs that are compatible with existing platforms like Mailgun and SparkPost. So you can easily migrate. And we are working hard on bringing native integrations with existing customer data platforms and marketing platforms that use third-party services to send.
This interview was recorded long before Gmail and Yahoo introduced their new sender guidelines. I asked Jakub what the future of email authentication will be. It's clear that he got it right.
Oh, I wish I had a crystal ball. So nothing on the internet has ever been revolutionary. It's always evolutionary. So we cannot expect that there will be a sudden golden bullet that someone will come up with some revolutionary idea, new standard, etc. Because you would be surprised how many really, 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 really smart people are behind the existing standards, right? And they're working hard to improve those standards. So there was the SPF and DKIM, DMARC, ARC, how to improve these existing standards, you know, how to reduce the potential for abuse, like DKIM replay, etc. So there's a lot of people involved in this and working together, and the email industry is very collaborative. It's not like we're competitors. We're the technical people are in it for the love of email and for the love of technology. So we all work together, find samples of how systems are being abused and how to resolve those, how to fix those issues. I'm sure that the future is in more adoption of DKIM and DMARC and more enforcement from the mailbox provider side of these standards. And once they can leave the guesswork out, they will be more efficient. And it will be cheaper for them because they don't have to guess. They don't have to run so many complex anti-spam tests, but they can rely on the DKIM signatures and DMARC policies, etc. So I strongly believe that the future is in DMARC and email authentication as it is. There might be extensions, additions, currently DKIM replay being a big issue. If I simplify it, you find a DKIM signature that is valid, that you used, that you generated. So let's say you go to MailChimp, you create a valid mail sent from MailChimp, get the DKIM signature, you use that signature to sign messages to other recipients, but not send them through MailChimp, which would stop you from doing that. Yeah. But you use your own SMTP at Amazon, wherever. Right?
Using this DKIM, the same DKIM.
Using the same DKIM, just by altering the headers in a way that it would not break the DKIM. That's the very, very simplified explanation of the issue. Yeah. Right. Of course, if the DKIM signature was not signing headers that it should have, so it was a less secure DKIM signature, then it makes it that much easier to replay the DKIM. So that is currently a big problem, and a lot of people are looking to solutions to that problem. How to prevent DKIM replay.
Before Google and Yahoo implemented the new guidelines, many senders used a Gmail account as their from email address. Now it will be impossible to do so. However, we still see ESPs that allow their clients to use the platform's shared domain and send emails on behalf of their domain.
Well, first off, you have to think about domain as part of your brand. It costs nothing, peanuts, to get your own domain. And if you decide to start sending and you use someone else's domain for that sending, are you getting paid for that, for promoting them? Probably not. You're paying them. It's the same when you send, small businesses do that they use a Gmail address, right? Or whatever free mail service they use, or they have, maybe it's not a free mail, but it's by their ISP. They have this very generic address they're promoting someone else.
Yeah.
The domain is your brand. So if your ESP tells you that you cannot use your domain and your DKIM, just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
To me, that's unbelievable, because from the technical perspective, especially in the ESP environment, this is very easy to set up.
Yeah.
This is not something that will add significant extra costs. It will take time to set it up and automate this, but it's not something that will be, ruining your company. If you're setting up your own mail servers, still it's a matter of couple of hours to set up email authentication properly, if you know what you're doing. But if you don't, then my recommendation is get a training. Go talk to someone who understands the problem, and for Christ's sake, don't go online and search for how to set up SPF and DKIM on my mail server. Because while these are guides that will tell you how to technically do that, they are intended to help you do the technical setup. But you will still not understand how SPF works and how DKIM works and what you need to do on the domain setting side. And that's very important, because if you don't understand that, you can create more problems for you down the road. Second, you can, end up being unable to deliver your messages. So it's really important to reach out to someone who understands email authentication, rather than trying to understand it yourself and, just hack it together.
Another authentication question. What's your opinion about sending all the emails from the main domain?
There are legitimate reasons to use your top level, organizational level domain with multiple services. So not only your corporate emails, but also other services. But that's, it has its limits, and you should definitely take advantage of subdomains, and especially if you're going into a third-party cloud service, you don't want to pollute your organizational level domain.
Yeah.
Right. You just want to make sure that one stays as is, and then the subdomain is something else. Because if you don't, it will make your life difficult down the line. Your SPF will grow, your problems will grow as time goes. Your IT department will forget when a contract is canceled. They will leave the IPs in the SPF record, and that SPF record will just exceed the limit really soon.
Yeah,
I think for email authentication, the biggest problem that we're facing with our customers, or we're helping deploying DMARC, is that because on the face of it, email seems like something very simple. Every secretary knows how to send an email.
Yeah.
Nobody understands the complexities of the email ecosystem and of sending and authenticating emails.
Yeah.
That includes the IT people in the companies. So there are no email-related processes. So if the marketing department signs a contract for an ESP or a CRM system or anything, they will just notify the IT, we need this to be done in the DNS.
Yeah.
And there's no process in the IT department of recording that information and then revalidating it, let's say 6 months later, checking back with the marketing or customer support and checking, is this provider still our partner? Do we still need this in the SPF, right? And that should be a process that is there, for everything in the email world. Like, set up the DKIMs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's done. Well, is there any rotation in place? Is the rotation done by the ESP or the CRM, and we're making a CNAME record? Or do we have to do the rotation on our end and communicate that to the CRM somehow, right? These are things that the companies don't think about. They don't even know that there is
exactly
a problem like this that will become bigger and bigger and bigger. And then, we had a customer coming that they want DMARC to be put in place. They want to go to DMARC reject. And they had an SPF record that was authorizing, that had 37 DNS lookups, while the limit is 10. I'm like, so you have Spark Post, you have MailChimp, you have SendGrid, you have Google, you have Office 365. Do you have all of this? You're authorizing like 50% of the internet to send on your behalf, right? And they were like, no, those were terminated years ago. Like, and why is there an SPF record authorizing that? Like, that's a liability for you. You can't go to reject. It will take months to get to reject.
Yeah.
And then, then when you start monitoring the DMARC reports, and a lot of the companies say, oh, we have a DMARC record. And I look at it and it's a DMARC record that only has P equals none. Nothing else. No reporting, nothing. A worthless record. Yeah. So it's a pointless record. Why did you put it there? Yes, because they read an article. You need to deploy DMARC. So they read, oh, this is the DMARC record. And that's it. But it's about the reports analyzing the value that DMARC provides and implementing the steps based on that information.
Yeah.
So, once you deploy the reports, you're suddenly surprised that there are, 30 sources that you had no idea about sending on your behalf because, this branch set up something and that branch set up something, and this IT guy has a server running from home, sending some monitoring emails, etc.
Yeah.
So it's quite revealing, and then the security people are like, wow, just wow. Yeah, that's a really bad practice when there is, a mailbox that nobody reads, or we've had someone telling us, oh yeah, when we have time we look at it. Like, you look at the XMLs, really? You read it just for the fun of it? So while it might seem like email is super simple and that email authentication is super simple and there are bunch of guides, they're step 1, step 2, step 3, done, you're authenticated. It's not that simple, and avoid these guides, please.
The email landscape is constantly evolving. I'm interested in hearing your perspective.
One day your deliverability drops and you suddenly start seeing errors. It could be that something got misconfigured on your end. It could be that some mailbox provider changed their policies. They suddenly consider something as spam, and it hurts your reputation. It's a lot of things, and that's changing every day. And systems are getting more and more automated, and that also leads to problems and mistakes in those systems, right? It's one thing to be in this industry for 15 years, but that industry changed a lot. It changed a lot in the past year, right? As more and more systems are using more advanced AI for spam filtering and new reputation systems are being built, this is changing the email landscape in a way that the marketers don't see, but we on the deliverability side of things, we're seeing this. We need to adopt, and we need to make changes. Email by default is not a guaranteed channel. It's not something like I send an email, it will be delivered. No, it was built for the nuclear war. Yeah. So it tries to get delivered as much as possible, right? But it's stateless. So once you send it, it tries to find a way to the destination. But what it does at the very end is a different story.
Thank you very much, Jacob. It's been a pleasure and very educating.
I'm happy I had the chance to talk to you. Happy to come anytime and talk email marketing and deliverability. Some of the topics I could talk about for hours. Yeah. Like anti-abuse and, deliverability and looking, analyzing logs and looking into, how to get stuff delivered. Because quite often people think, delivered is delivered. But it's not only about whether it got delivered and didn't bounce, but it's also about, maybe there was a remote bounce that was ignored. A lot of ESPs don't bother processing remote bounces. Or you might have misconfigured your DNS records and the remote bounces are not coming to you. Stuff like that. And there's a ton of valuable information in that, even though it's the long tail, but it's an important long tail. And also, it's not only about whether it was delivered or not, but also about, how soon was it delivered? Did it take 5 minutes? Did it take 5 seconds? Yeah. Did it take 5 hours? So there's there are big differences in what deliverability means and what the differences between the ESPs in this on this side of things, and how monitored it is, and how engaged the ESP is in making sure that it's 5 seconds rather than 5 hours.
Yeah. I can spend 10 hours just talking to you about deliverability.
Yeah, you would get bored. You would get bored.
הפודקאסט בחסות דאטה מדיה, המלווה ומייעצת לחברות בארץ ובחול בפעילות אימייל מרקטינג אפקטיבית ואווירות אימיילים. אימייל דליברביליטי.